So I received a gift just last week. It was Shai Hell's new book. Anyone else? Yeah? You're stopping now. There's a frank comment that he makes in his book, and it hit me hard. He says, "Over the course of my career, I have counseled countless students whose lives were poisoned to one extent or another by a frantic, desperate pursuit of the sense that they were valuable. The culture of competition and ranking that so pervades our schools only intensified their desperation. Offering us a theological antidote to all this, the sages invite us to stop chasing our worth and to really know, we already have it. Stop chasing our worth, we already have it? What does this bring up for me as an advocate for Jewish education? I believe Shai is referring to conditional love. That's the essence of what extrinsic motivators such as testing and grades communicate to our students. If I sound dramatic, you know me, I mean to be. Kids want to perform well in school as a way of seeking approval from parents and teachers. How many times do we hear a teacher boasting about her top students? How often do we see a parent sending love and warmth to a child for the A's and disappointment and frustration for the poor grades? I believe that this kind of conditional love in Judaic studies damages the soul of the child in a way that dampens Jewish self-esteem and weakens Jewish identity. Even the A student is diminished by the smiles they get for their A's. They innately know they worked for that A. And if they were really honest with themselves, they feel an emptiness left with unseen potential. The extrinsic carrot and stick prevails and sabotages our opportunity to develop young minds towards living Judaism rather than performing Judaism. I doubt anyone would argue with research that confirms that intrinsic motivation is the one that generally leads to the most positive outcomes. Our challenge is how to stimulate a field-wide change in thinking and practice after so many decades of copying the Western culture model of judgment and comparison, also known as exams and ranking. In the book, Made to Stick by the Heath brothers, anyone know that one? Yeah. Dan and Chip Heath. So they explain that complex concepts can be made sticky by fashioning a message that is, they call double C, core and compact. They cite proverbs as like sticky and concise ways of conveying complex ideas. Like, for example, we all know the golden rule, right? Do unto others, we know that. Or we know a bird in the hand is like two in the bush, right? Cervantes defined proverbs as short sentences drawn from long experience. And what I realized is we do have a sticky Jewish proverb in education, al pi darko, right? We quote this all the time. Teach students according to their way. This is a core and compact sticky idea for personalized learning. So I began to think about how could I apply this to the principles of intrinsic motivation in Judaic studies? How could I reduce a complex concept like classrooms modeled on intrinsic motivation yielding the best possible long-term result for the student into a short and sticky double C? So I started to think about how JEIC advocates for God-centered and student-centered schools, which are really vessels for intrinsic motivation. I thought about how anything one chooses is far more valued and enduring than something selected for you or forced upon you. I thought about how personal meaning making and relevance in Judaic studies is all the more crucial now in our post-October 7th world. And I thought about the educator's responsibility to shift from accomplishment-driven evaluations to effort-driven student assessments to align with Jewish values. There is a lot to distill here down to a core and compact, sticky message. In fact, I went back at it for days. It was like going round and round in my head. I was thinking about these complex contexts and trying to come up with the right saying. I landed in deeply thinking about the source of extrinsic and intrinsic motivators, where the reward of accomplishment and the reward of effort differ in their essence. I believe one sits in the head and the other in the heart, the two most important organs in the person. So I Googled what organs develop first in a fetus, thinking like maybe it was the heart and I could prove a point here. However, I knew there'd be doctors in the room and I didn't want to fib, so I'll tell you that they actually both develop first, almost simultaneously start at 3 weeks of gestation. So it's a toss-up. One is not more primary or essential than the other. They're interconnected in the physical makeup of a human being. There's no way to compromise one for the other. However, on the spiritual level of a human being, the thing that makes us human, we know that the heart prevails. We say, and here's a sticky one, information goes in one ear and out the other. Yet we say, when we speak from the heart and to the heart, it's sticky. There's nothing impactful about conveying information if it's not with heart, with passion, and with the consideration of the impact it's having on the listener. In fact, when an educator is heartless, the student feels disempowered and uninspired and can devolve into despair and resentment. When we compare students in Jewish studies one to another and make judgments by assigning grades, we are operating with the head and not opening the heart. We are clearly conveying our interest in how a student measures up to another, rather than how much individual growth is really going on. That is just not a Jewish value. It chips away at self-esteem and deteriorates the heart. Our Jewish survival depends on nurturing and preserving every Jewish student's heart to feel empowered and successful in their Jewish learning, Jewish living, and Jewish identity. I always say, if God wanted us to be the same, we would be. We celebrate our differences, hearkening back to each of the tribes waving their flags of specialization and territories. Being a Jew was never meant to be a contest, and I am certain that our migration in that direction is simply a result of our long exile and the pressure we organically succumb to being settled for so long in Western culture. Intrinsic motivation, in my opinion, it's a path to reclaiming our legacy. Prioritizing the hearts of our students is a leap, and it takes a willingness on our part to believe in each of them. That there is a capability to seek fulfillment and a longing to succeed in Jewish studies that can be awakened and sustained without exams and grades. It is simply not true that students can't be motivated from the heart to learn for the sake of growth and development. We just have to believe in them and ourselves, and in the principles of intrinsic motivation that have been tested and proven effective. So, honestly, I'm not sure I ever came up with the brilliant double C, or the Jewish proverb to capture the complex and timeless idea of intrinsic motivation, but doesn't mean I'll give up. I did turn to where so many of us turn for inspiration, Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. In his brilliant simplicity, he illuminates the big picture concept that we as educators, funders, and influencers of Jewish education might want to keep front and center. He says, Judaism was the first religion in history to place love at the heart of the spiritual life. Love your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your might. Love your neighbor, love the stranger, and what we love most, because that is where God is to be found, is life itself. That is what Judaism is. A life of love and a love of life. And the rest is commentary. My friends, we're here because we love our students, and we believe in the power of developing each one to the best of our ability. So how do we as educators express that love? How do we inspire our students to believe in themselves and in their unique, innate greatness? Our esteemed guest, Catlin Tucker, she comes armed with tools to show us how to make an art of teaching personalized learning and intrinsic motivation. Developing intrinsic motivation in Jewish studies will be, for the first time in a long time, the shift that Jewish day school education can make to a paradigm that is true to our legacy, that aligns our standard of education with wisdom and values. These tools are gifts of the heart that will lead a student to true greatness. We can connect with the soul's essence that yearns to attach to the bigger idea, find meaning and purpose, and feel significant. Greatness is achieved, yes, by reaching milestones of knowledge and competency. But when a student can navigate the journey to greatness with an inspired educator as a guide, not embarrassed by comparisons or harsh judgments, a lifelong love is created. A student's greatness can be nurtured by a collaboration between a teacher and a student who can journey together on a path of celebrating unique potential. That greatness is quiet and lasting. It doesn't come from the buzz of applause or the high of performing better than another. Let's leave that to other people, other schools, other subjects. And by the way, Shai Held's book, the name is Judaism is About Love. And with love, I invite you to really get a lot out of the next hours that we have together tonight, tomorrow. And I so appreciate you all being here to help us spread the word, the message, the models, the innovations that we all work so hard on behalf of our students in our schools. Thank you so, so much.